start this program. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruben Cruz. I'll be hosting today's event. I'm friends with Joseph. We know each other from stand-up. When Joseph told me to host this event, I knew I couldn't say no. Especially after I read what he wrote in this book, because now I know what he's capable of.
The book is a threat.
Yeah, exactly. Having known Joseph for a couple years now, actually, I gotta say, like Joseph's writing, it makes me laugh. It makes me afraid for my life. It makes me question reality, and that's just a stand-up. So it was a real game changer when I read this book. And it took me a while to get used to the horror side of Joseph, because I know him from comedy scenes. He was the funny guy. He did the wrestling. He talked about wrestling too much, and
Too much is true.
and but as I slowly got to know him, it started to make sense that he would write like a horror novel, because if I were to describe Joseph, I'd basically be describing a less approachable Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, he got them in the house.
Exactly.
Mine's just run away.
You just have to mention wrestling and they'd be out the door. So, but enough about Joseph. I'm just kidding. I just want to talk about me a little bit, so we can get to know each other.
Guys, River Cruz, a round of applause, shall we?
As I was reading Joseph's book, each story covers different aspects of Filipino culture, our enamor with religion and how that's baked into our society, right? And I myself, that resonated with me because I myself grew up very religious. My dad is a pastor, right? My mom teaches Sunday school, so I'm saved. Yes, this is real. This is not based on a true story. This is the true story. And when you grow up Christian, you notice certain things about certain churches. Our church, we love. Hi, please. This is a safe space where we talk about spooky things. Go ahead. Anyway, yeah. So. So I grew up in a religious household, resonated with the stories that Joseph was writing about, how it's actually spooky. Because I grew up very religious, and one thing that I noticed, churches love acronyms. Every word is an acronym for something. Like in our church, we have Bible, basic instructions before leaving Earth. Has anyone heard of that one? Has anyone heard of that one? There's one that says gospel. God's only Son provides eternal life. Right? But my favorite one is one time my Sunday school teacher, she wrote Christian on the blackboard, Christian. And then she erased Christ and it was just Ian. Because without Christ, I am nothing. Right? And she told this to the whole class, and then my seatmate started crying. Because his name was Ian. And he was Muslim, so that didn't help. So yeah. Another thing, if you've read, how many people have started digging into Joseph's book? Who's been spooked by Joseph in this room tonight? Spooked. I heard scooped. That's a different event. Not to spoil the book, I'm sure you guys will enjoy it after this event, but there's one story about a very religious mother that vaguely reminded me of my mom, because she addressed everything with prayer, right? First thing, pray. Any problem, pray. One time I had a fever 40 above. Anyone ever gotten that sick? Where you start hallucinating, right? You start seeing stuff. Legit, this is a true story. I started seeing a dinosaur in my room. And I started freaking out. Dinosaur! And then my mom barged in. What's wrong, Anak? What's wrong? And I was like, Mom, there's a dinosaur. And this really happened. She prayed the dinosaur away. And she prayed the dinosaur away. It's like praying the gay away, but a bit more advanced. And then she said, in Jesus' name, I cast away the dinosaur in Jesus' name. And you're laughing now, but it helped. It worked. One Bunsen really left my room. I'm so much safer. You know, one of my favorite things in this book, there's a blurb there by Yvette Tan. It says wild and unsettling, right? This is the first time I've seen a book where the blurb was describing the author. May I add some suggestions? You know, I could put like tall and gangly. You know? Just the word loud in bold text. But you know, to bring things back to what Joseph has accomplished today, this is a huge deal. It's hard to write a book, and it's even harder to organize this event to celebrate what Joseph has accomplished tonight. So everyone please give a round of applause for Joseph. And yeah, so you know, before we start moving on to the juicy bits of it, I'm sorry to say juicy, to the big event, I would like to call on Ms. Alma Anones Carbo. She's a journalist, a writer, former editor of Philippine Graphic Magazine, and Manila Critics Circle member and judge of National Book Award herself, Alma Anones Carbo. Round of applause, please.
Thank you very much. Alright, I'm going to tell you people that I am doing this on practically zero sleep because I was at the National Book Awards last night. We gave out the National Book Awards. So pardon me if I am loopy. I am naturally that way, but I'm using this as the perfect excuse to pretend normalcy. Now, Joseph over here is the same age as my daughters. Yes, he was born on the same year that I nearly died in the emergency room after trying to struggle out of traffic so I could give birth. And I made it to the ORDR with plenty of blood following me. So I love that title, In the Blood. I don't really know Joseph personally. I know him by his work. You know, there was that boring week when we were we're going to publish this meh piece by this meh author because we have 6 pages of the magazine to fill. But it'll pass. It'll do. We're balls to the wall for the deadline, and I ain't got no balls. So that's not bad. That's not good, right? And in comes this email sometime in the afternoon. What's this? It's Monday, and they're like, but you already chose the one for this week, right? I mean, so give it a look. And when I saw it, I was like, I tell my boss, hey, I see, this is a horror story. And he goes, yeah, so it's bloody, it's scary, I love it. And he goes, so you're going to kick me? Yeah, that one's me. I'm not going to name the author. That person actually won a award. So we're not going to do that. Alright? And I was like, Montecillo, I know that's your name. So I replied to him and say, hey, loved your work. Bloody. Just like I like it, just like I like my steak. Okay, I like eating blue steak. I will let you take away from that what you will. So I'm ready. And of course the author whose work was scheduled for that day was like, hey, what happened? Oh my god, I forgot! This author knows me personally, because Alma, you're a bad liar. I know, but I'm lying and you don't know what about, so we're not talking about that. Now, I know his uncle. I know his cousin. His cousin was president of Cyberpress after me. I'm a geek, I'm a nerd. I did IT reporting, and I was president of the Cyberpress, or the IT Journalists Association of the Philippines, when it existed. When I stepped down, it soon after ceased to exist. I have had nothing to do with that. I know his mother. I worked with her in evening paper, Sarah. She was the wonderful light of the newsroom. I was the person who would go to your section, what's your deadline, where's your copy? So she was the lovely woman there, and that bitch. David is her uncle. Joseph's cousin Paolo was that really freaky guy in Cyberpress who was like, I'm president, but I'm gonna dance disco when we have a meeting. I'm like,
Recording?
alright. And his uncle and I used to hang out in a place called Sanctum, where they had poetry nights when I was young and thought my poetry was good. And I was willing to throw it out to the ground on an open mic. And, well, his uncle once did the landmark move of not reciting poetry at an open mic. He took the mic and the mic stand and put it aside and proceeded to do what I thought was natural dancing on stage. And I said, David, I didn't know you moonlighted at, the Matrona bars. And he goes, that was Qigong. It's sacred. Oh, it's sacred by macho dancing. I'm so sorry. Okay? That's your uncle. So when I read this work and I made the connection, I'm like, okay, his family is strange, so it fits. But I'm strange too, and I love his work. I was that kid who hid her pet tarantula from her mother for 2 years until it crawled on her and she started screaming. I was that kid who hid the python under the bed and she got it in the law, and when her mother said, "It's the python or me?" and I'm like, "I'm gonna miss you, Mom." So when Joseph asked me to write the foreword for his book, of course, I took the opportunity to get the free read and I said, I want the PDF of it first. I loved it. Didn't let me sleep. And, you know, books that give you sleepless nights, these are the books are sleeping. What you think? And it's so hard to make a Clive Barker fan, Stephen King stan, a Bram Stoker, a married Bram Stoker stan, stay awake with their fiction. He did all that. This young boy was the same age as my daughters. So you know what? When I go home, I'm gonna ask my kids, "What have you done for me lately?" This kid came out with a book, anak. Look at the program. Congratulations, Joseph.
Thank you.
So now we move on to the main event of the night, a reading of one of the spooky, scary stories by the man himself, Joseph Montecillo. Let's start with a prayer. But thank you so much for being here. Joseph, take it away.
Alright guys, thank you all for coming. After the reading, I'm also going to be opening it up for questions. So feel free to start formulating those and throw them my way afterwards. Thank you all for attending. I was wondering which one to read, and I settled on this story called Pressure and Release, which I wrote in college. And I like this story because once I actually, what's this called? I did a reading for it in a class for college actually. So, and I think it reads well out loud. And I feel like everyone in here who has lived in Metro Manila will have a certain affinity and relatability for it. So this is Pressure and Release from In the Blood and Other Stories by myself.
There we go.
Pressure and Release.
Very good.
Red eyes blink at you from across the blacktop of the highway. The tail light sits still for the most part. Each pair claims a piece of the night sky, twinkling in place. Stare long enough, and constellations start to appear. Here, a couple of lanes away, a snake curled up, ready to strike, made up of 3 taxi cabs and an askew Mazda. There, under the train station, a cocked gun made up of 3 black cars in a row and 1 taxi. Stare even longer, and all you can see is red. Every other color gets washed away, leaving the world just a filthy, fuzzy scarlet. You must get a lot of staring done on this stretch. It's all there is to do. Everything else remains unmoving, unyielding. Sitting inside the bus, legs cramping up even as they twitch against the clutch and brake, you've learned to know this road in ways you've never known your wife or the children at home you never see. From here, you might even fool yourself into thinking you're above what's happening. Kawawa, you think, shaking your head. Grabe talaga to. But that's just part of the illusion. You're as much a part of it as anyone else. I know you're trying not to think of that. You focus on how everything stretches out before you towards the distant horizon of high-rises. No straight lines can be seen anywhere. The vehicles twist and weave and turn in and out of each other like arteries tangled in veins and knotted in tiny capillaries. You think of the children at home, the boy and the girl, the third on the way. They'll be missing their father again, always working the long hours. You're that man, the one who works too hard and has no energy left at the end of the day. Try hard enough, you'll see their faces in the taillights. See? There they are. Then the horns start blaring, the sound piercing through the windshield. Once one goes off, others scream out to respond. Feel the cacophony beat its way into your ears, pressing against your skull. The blood pounds in your head and you feel it clog against every bit of fat you've ever eaten in your life. Your head feels cramped like 1,000 cars fighting for space in a lane they don't belong in. Behind you, the tired sighs and gentle snoring of passengers, the incessant tap-tap-tap of fingers against glass screens, muffled words and music pushing out against headphones, whispered gossip overheard at lunch from the sister of a friend whose tita knows someone in the government. They don't know you, won't remember your face, but without you, they're nowhere. Traffic moves an inch, maybe less. A little pressure on the gas, lift the clutch a bit. The timing is impeccable. Pressure and release exactly when needed. The bus lurches forward and jerks when you hit the brakes. Everything comes to a standstill and the horns come again. They drown out your thoughts until consciousness is only one long honk. Above you, a pirated film chatters away on a broken television screen. The hottest new starlet opens her mouth to profess her love, but all that comes out is a blaring horn, screaming at the cars ahead to just move. Putang ina, just move already. The horns keep shouting at each other. If sound had color, you know this would be red. A dirty, dingy red smeared against a rusted wall. Under the howling, sirens wail. A police car coming out of the gate of the police camp on your right sits blockaded by a wall of metal and glass. You convince yourself that you're concerned. Someone could be being robbed or murdered. And this damn traffic, because of this damn government who just never gets anything right, and will this honking ever stop? God damn it, just move already! That's right. You're screaming in your mind, I can hear it. Teeth grind against each other to bar your frustration. Soon your rage dissolves into the horns. The constellations blaze away and all that's left is red lights. The sea of red stars blinks and you blink back to it. You slam your foot on the gas. The engine roars and the bus crashes into the cars in front of you. 2, 3 hunks of metal smash together. The glorious sound of glass breaking and steel crunching. The impact shakes the whole bus. People thrown to the ground fill the air with screams. Your whole body shudders, racked by the jolt, like electricity rushing through your vein, through your bones. A warmth on your head, blood spilling down your face, free at last. The horns again. Where is that screaming? Laugh! Now you're that guy. The one they'll talk about on the news. See your family tearfully discussing you. He would never do this. This isn't what he's like. They'll open their mouths for more excuses, but it's all just honking. Your body feels numb. You're panting, lungs seeking air and finding only smoke and blood. Everything is hot again. Your legs call out to you and your foot finds the gas. You press down again. The bus obeys. It shoves against the 2 cars that have melded to the front and smashes into the mess of traffic. More glass shattering. The safety glass behind you, perhaps. Metal screeches and bends and breaks, and oh my God, the music of it smashing against that blaring monotony, screaming and twisting and churning. You don't know if your foot's on the gas, but the bus keeps moving. Down the slope of the overpass, the tangled beast of metal plows its way through taxi drivers and mothers and children and adulterers and priests. All that flesh gives way to the weight and the impact. All the red in the world set against a deep black now, and the blood is pouring down your face. With each collision, that rapturous jolt, it rattles you down to the deepest parts of your body. Fight off the tempting unconsciousness. Remain in the moment. This You must feel this, for this is all there is. The rattling and gnashing of teeth sets a joyous percussive beat to the fracturing of your own bones in your legs. When a steering wheel meets your chest, the air leaves your body. Your ribs crumble and your lungs struggle with no structure to hold. The crash continues. Through your bruised and swollen eye, you look out onto the road. The veins have burst and the cars have relinquished all hope of civility. You can't tell where one starts and another begins. It's all just metal crashing against blinking red lights. You're a hero. You've set them free. That's what's happened. It isn't the domino effect of a devastating collision. Physics has no role in your victory. Rather, the world has finally come to its senses. Let go of the brakes and step on the gas. Pressure and release at just the right moment. The earth shakes and a rain of glass falls against your skin. Something has struck the bus from behind. Again, that lightning rush through your veins. This one sends you forward. The seatbelts snap and you fall forward. Your head is the first to break through the windshield. Thick shards slicing at your face as you soar through a mist of broken glass. The night air cools your hot skin. You land with a thud into a cradle of hot metal. The wreckage grabs you in its maw, limbs twisted to meet and join the carnage. Barely breathing, you can taste the burning metal in the air. A fire crackles a few feet from your head, livening the color of blood in your eyes. One of them is shut closed. You can't tell if you'll ever get it back. You yell into the night. No words from your mouth, just sound. You test your limbs, one at a time. Your right arm still moves, but each twitch sends stabs of pain through you. Your left is just gone. There's nothing there but a dull throb. Your left leg is moving, but you can tell that the bone has been smashed to dust. Your right leg only feels hot. You hazard a peek. A thin shaft of metal pokes straight through your ankle. You bite down on your lips with the teeth you have left and move your leg. The scream tears your mouth apart. Your scream becomes an ocean, flooding the sky and filling your ears. Deep in those dark, comforting waters, you find the strength from pure stubbornness and a rush of what must be adrenaline. The leg comes free from the metal. Putang ina, sit up, you tell yourself. I tell it to you. Together, we will your body to obey. The thrill surges through you as you shove against the pain and force your body to sit up. For the briefest second, you find yourself sitting up to see the red all around you. You take a deep breath, your last, and you look up to the sky. It's all black. There are no stars out tonight. Pressure release, everybody.